Hey buddy, glad you made it to my channel. If you're a first-timer, be sure to subscribe and share this video with your friends and family. It helps so much. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I appreciate every single message. Let's kick things off. My name is Philip Cross. For 16 years I worked in digital forensics, tracking cyber intrusions, unraveling financial deception, and testifying in courtrooms where most of the legal professionals could barely follow the tech jargon I used. 3 years ago, I left my government role behind and launched a private consultancy. These days, my clientele is almost entirely corporate, discreet, well-financed, and generally much less complicated. I've always put my faith in systems. People lie. Data doesn't. Clara and I had been together nearly a decade. She ran a boutique art gallery, sleek, lucrative, and with a sterling reputation. We lived in a stylish townhouse, raised our quiet, observant son, Miles. He'd just turned 6. And, from the outside, we appeared to be that picture-perfect family you scroll past on Instagram with a twinge of envy. The first indication that something was off came one Sunday. Ironically, it had nothing to do with Clara directly. It began with a standard maintenance check. My home server logged a minor anomaly during a routine backup review. While digging into it, I noticed something strange in the smart home synchronization records. The front door lock had been manually overridden, twice. Both incidents occurred during times I was scheduled to be at client locations. In cybersecurity, real red flags usually don't look like red flags until you understand what normal is supposed to look like. I pulled the timestamps and ran a cross-reference. A pattern surfaced, every Wednesday, just after 2 p.m., exactly when Clara typically said she was in design meetings at the gallery. I decided to investigate further. I installed a silent monitoring script on the guest Wi-Fi, just a passive listener that would log any devices connecting while I was out. That next Wednesday, while I was consulting in Jersey, a device labeled PG42 pinged our network. 2 minutes later, Clara texted, "Hey, how's traffic?" I didn't answer. I logged the IP address, captured the MAC, and archived the session details. That evening, everything was business as usual. We had dinner. She asked about my day and smiled when I told her Miles had shown an interest in chess. Nothing in her behavior hinted she suspected anything was amiss. And that's when it struck me. She didn't just have secrets. She thought I was too blind to notice. The PG42 tag led me to a laptop registered to someone named Peter Salinger, a licensed architect. Clara had mentioned him once, said he'd done a quick consult for a potential remodel at the gallery. At the time, I didn't give it a second thought. Now I was combing through his background. He looked legit. Top-tier education, an impressive client list, most of it private sector work. There was nothing definitively linking them beyond a design invoice, but I uncovered a photo of them together at a fundraiser 2 months back. Clara never told me she'd gone. She wore that navy dress I remembered complimenting. Over the next few weeks, I kept surveillance low profile. No new installations, too risky. The house was already rigged with basic camera coverage. I adjusted the hallway motion sensors to forward their logs to me and quietly reactivated facial recognition on the front door system. Nothing invasive, just enough to spot any behavioral patterns. They were careful. No texts, no calls, no trail. But Peter used a zero-knowledge cloud storage provider, fully encrypted. I cloned Clara's tablet and mimicked its sync behavior. Thursday morning, I hit something. The files appeared to be architectural diagrams, but one PDF didn't fit. It was a scan of a handwritten note. "He's predictable. Always gone Wednesdays. We just need the story locked down." Then came a second line that turned my blood cold. "He won't resist. He gets sentimental. I'll take the house. You get the gallery shares. He'll disappear." My hands didn't shake. I've sat through murder trials without blinking, but I read that note 4 times. This wasn't about an affair. It was a blueprint, a clinical, methodical plan to erase me and Miles from her life. No emotion, just calculated erasure. That night, Clara came home chatty, complaining about a temperamental client. She laughed, kissed me, told me I looked worn out. I nodded, told her she was probably right. On the inside, I was already locking down my perimeter. Next step, gather indisputable proof and find leverage. For that, I needed Emma. Emma Reyes and I go way back. We joined the bureau around the same time, both recruited into digital ops. She left after 8 years, went private, and now worked high-end PI gigs. Emma was exacting, unemotional, flawless. We met at a Canal Street diner. She slid into the booth without a word. "What's the job?" she asked. "My wife's planning to erase me," I said. "She's working with a guy named Peter Salinger. On paper, he's an architect." Emma nodded once, took out her tablet, and made a note. "You want exposure?" "No, I want him tracked. Quietly. I need leverage. Nothing dramatic." "Give me 48 hours," she said. By Saturday, I had the full dossier. Peter Salinger wasn't just drafting blueprints. He operated 3 shell companies tied to real estate deals in Miami and Vancouver. All 3 were under quiet investigation. Wire fraud, suspected money laundering. No charges yet, but the circumstantial evidence was damning. The man had been running a long con behind the curtain. Clara's art gallery had unknowingly become a cog in a laundering operation, disguised as a fake renovation subsidy funneled through one of Peter's shell corporations. This wasn't just infidelity anymore. She was helping move his dirty money. Whether by oversight or complicity no longer mattered. The line had already been crossed. I had retrieved the prenuptial agreement. It was Clara who had insisted on signing it before the wedding. I hadn't objected, but she never reviewed the entire appendix. Tucked inside the fine print was a clause that nullified all protections if either party was ever implicated in fraud or intentional misconduct. That clause was ironclad. Without alerting her, I reallocated our liquid assets into a secure trust. She couldn't touch a dollar without a court order. I deliberately left the joint accounts as they were. I wanted her to feel stable, unaware. That's when people slip. Miles was the last variable. I had access to his school portal, her calendar, and a live GPS tracker synced to her phone. If things turned ugly, I could leave with Miles and still be fully compliant with the law. Any custody angle she might pursue, I had already neutralized. The pivot came on a Tuesday. At exactly 10:17 a.m., a courier delivered an envelope to my office. Heavy paper, formal legal header. The cover letter came from Jonathan Rowe, her attorney. I knew the name. He specialized in high-net-worth divorces and was notorious for spinning abuse claims to gain emergency custody. The letter leveled accusations of emotional cruelty, psychological manipulation, and implied witnesses who had allegedly seen my outbursts. None of it was factual, but if it reached the court first, it could still do damage. Attached was a motion requesting emergency custody of Miles. They were coming fast. I called my attorney immediately, forwarded everything, and told him to be ready. That night, I got home earlier than usual. Clara was stretched out on the sofa, acting as if nothing had changed. I walked past her, put down my briefcase, and opened the refrigerator. "I take it you've read the letter," she said casually. I turned. "I have." She didn't blink. "It's not personal, Philip. It's just what's true. You've been emotionally absent for years. Miles needs someone stable." "Did you rehearse that?" I asked. "You won't win. It's the first version of the story the judge hears that sticks. By the time you correct it, the harm's done." I gave a single nod. "That's true." She faltered, just slightly. "But it won't be your story that gets told first," I said. "We file tomorrow. Emergency custody. My terms. You don't have any leverage." I stepped out and came back with a slim folder. I placed it on her lap. Inside, surveillance stills, financial statements, logs of her calls with Peter, documented transfers from her gallery to his fake companies, and the prenup clause, clearly marked. She leafed through the contents slowly. Her mouth parted a fraction. "You hacked into my tablet," she said flatly. "I mirrored it," I said. "You left the backup login on your work laptop. This is illegal. It's not admissible. It's our shared network, and Emma already turned everything over to federal investigators." "They're not after you," I added. "They're coming for Peter." She stayed silent. "This is your one shot to walk away clean," I told her. "Otherwise, the next phase isn't negotiation. It's annihilation." By Thursday morning, all her financial access was revoked. The gallery's payment history triggered a federal review. Emma contacted someone she knew in financial crimes. 2 of Peter's shell corporations were frozen, linked to bogus art deals. That same afternoon, Peter Salinger disappeared. Office cleared, phones disconnected. His assistant knew nothing, but Emma dug up a flight record. He'd fled the country under an alias. Final destination, Casablanca. One-way ticket. No electronic trail. Then Clara called, for the first time since our showdown. I let it go to voicemail. A follow-up email came a few minutes later. Subject line, private resolution. "Can we speak?" "Just the 2 of us. I want to fix this." I agreed, but with one condition. We'd meet at her lawyer's office. Public, official, controlled. She arrived 10 minutes late. No makeup, hair pulled back loosely. She looked drained, or cornered. Ro looked worse, pale, unshaven, resigned. "You win," Clara muttered as she dropped into the chair. "I'm not playing games," I replied coldly. She didn't meet my eyes. "What do you want?" "Miles. Full custody. You'll have visitation, supervised, on my schedule." "That's not right," she said. "You're erasing me. You lied. You tried to destroy my name. You led our son around a con man. You don't get to decide what's fair." Ro cleared his throat, about to interject. "I'm not here to bargain," I cut in. "You'll sign what I bring, or I escalate. Formal charges, gallery shuttered, criminal case underway. Peter's already gone. You can follow him. You'll be the one left to face the consequences." Clara didn't answer. Her face wore the look of someone silently calculating how much pain she could withstand in confinement. Rose scanned the contract one last time, gave a brief nod, then slid the document toward her. Clara took the pen, paused for a moment, and signed her name. Each page felt clinical, stripped of emotion. When it was done, she turned to me. "Can we talk?" she asked. "Just the 2 of us?" I hesitated, then gave her a quiet nod. We stepped into a small office just off the corridor. She closed the door gently behind her. "What went wrong between us?" Her voice was barely audible. "You did," I said, and I stopped pretending it wasn't happening. She leaned against the wall, arms folded, not in defiance, but in fatigue. "You were never simple," she said. "Everything had to be planned, safe, locked into a schedule. There was no room for me. And that gave you the right to betray me, to frame me, to walk away with someone like Peter?" "No," she admitted. "It doesn't justify it, but maybe it helps explain it." "Then explain it," I said. She looked straight at me, for the first time in what felt like forever. "I didn't love you, Philip," she said. "I respected you. I appreciated what we created. But I always felt like I was living in your house, not our home. You never made space for me to truly belong." I said nothing. I let her speak. "Peter was unpredictable," she went on. "Impulsive, alive. You gave me safety, yes. But I always felt like you were bracing for me to fail you, like you expected it from the start." "I wasn't expecting it," I said. "I was just prepared in case it happened. There's a difference." A thick silence settled between us. "I still don't understand how you uncovered it all," she whispered after a pause. "You misjudged me," I replied. "You thought my silence meant I wasn't paying attention. But the quiet ones? We build our walls while you're still delivering your monologues." Her voice lost some of its sharpness. "Do you hate me?" "No," I said. "I forgave you a while ago. That's why you're leaving with your name intact and your freedom untouched." She swallowed hard. "What about Miles? What will you tell him?" "That you left, that I stayed, that when the moment came, I chose him." Tears welled in her eyes, but none fell. "You really think you came out ahead?" "I didn't win," I said. "I lasted. You played like I was blind. I was scripting the final act while you were still rehearsing scene 3. She took a step forward, her hand twitching as if to reach for me, but she stopped herself. "You're going to be alone," she whispered. "I can live with that," I said. "At least I won't be living a lie." I opened the door and walked away, leaving her in the hush of a truth too loud to ignore. The silence that followed thundered louder than anything she might have said. 3 months passed. The house settled into its own quiet rhythm. Miles adjusted faster than I'd anticipated. Kids know how to feel safe, and that's what matters. We found a routine: morning drop-offs, weekend ball games, pancakes every Saturday without fail. I never mentioned his mother unless he asked. When he did, I kept it simple. She needed time. That was enough for now. Clara's gallery had changed hands. Her name had been scrubbed from the signage, erased like chalk from slate. She didn't contest custody, probably because she knew she wouldn't survive another loss. Last I heard, she was renting a condo and looking into adjunct teaching positions. Peter? He vanished. Emma had sent me a police report. He was caught in Tangier, holding fake passports, bundles of money, and a wallet full of IDs that weren't his. He'd left Clara behind long before their flight. She wasn't a partner, she was a mark, and she only figured it out when it was already too late. That morning, I sat in my office, watching Miles toss a football in the backyard. The old instinct stirred, the one that knows where to look when something doesn't sit right. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Then I pressed play. "Mr. Cross, my name is Angela Green," a woman's voice began. "I don't know if you handle personal investigations, but I believe my husband is planning to disappear with our children. I think he's done this before." I reached for a pen, flipped open a fresh notepad, and wrote down her name. Outside, Miles's laughter burst through the window like sunlight, bright, unhindered, real. I listened closely to the rest of the message. Steady, thoughtful, composed. The world's full of people who think silence is submission. They believe quiet means weakness. Eventually, they learn the truth. I picked up the phone. "Go ahead," I said. "Start at the beginning. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you. Ahoy, Digital Explorer! You've just docked at my channel and I'm thrilled to have you aboard. If you're a first-timer, go ahead and subscribe before you forget why you're even here. And toss this video to your friends like it's a hot potato. Tell me where you're tuning in from. The more dramatic, the better. All aboard. Miranda was 32, I was 29, and we'd been husband and wife for 3 years. I teach history at a middle school, the kind of person who lives by structure, binders labeled, lessons planned weeks ahead, never missing a beat. Miranda thrived in marketing, all charisma and spontaneity, always moving a bit too fast for me to catch up. Things started to fracture the day she informed me, not suggested, that she was spending the weekend in Vermont with Lacey and Tasha. Our wedding anniversary happened to be that same weekend. When I brought it up, she barely looked up and said, "It's just a date, Liam. Don't act like I ran over your dog." That Friday morning, I stood there while she rolled her suitcase toward the door. She didn't stop for a kiss goodbye. The only sound was the tapping of her heels on the hardwood, sharp and final, like a door closing on something far bigger than the room. I called after her, "Love you," but the elevator had already taken her away. Truthfully, I'd felt her withdrawing long before that. Her arrivals got later, her attention thinner. Every real conversation I tried to start fizzled before it could matter. I kept chalking it up to stress, to routine. I wanted to believe it was just a rough patch. That night, I dialed her number, straight to voicemail. "Hi, it's Miranda. You know what to do." I ended the call without speaking. Tried again an hour later, same result. I sent a short text, just making sure everything's all right. "Let me know you're okay." Delivered. No reply. Sleep refused to come. I kept turning toward her side of the bed, breathing in the fading scent of her perfume lingering on the pillow. By 3 in the morning, I was pacing the kitchen, pouring water I didn't drink, opening the fridge just to close it again. It wasn't just loneliness. Something felt misaligned in a way I couldn't yet articulate. Saturday came, our anniversary. The apartment felt more like a memorial than a home. Her sandals still by the door, a lipstick-stained wine glass untouched in the sink, tiny relics of her presence that now only highlighted her absence. Anger might have made sense, maybe grief. But what I felt was more clinical. The silence didn't feel like neglect. It felt curated, intentional, like she wanted me to sit in it and stew. Around 5 that evening, Jonah texted about a barbecue at his lake house. I figured being near people was better than staying trapped in those 4 walls. The air outside was filled with idle conversation and the scent of grilled corn. I tried to blend in, to listen, to laugh, but I felt distant, like I was watching the scene through glass. Then I heard her name, Miranda. A woman I didn't know, Ava, was near the cooler, scrolling her phone. She turned to someone and said, "I didn't realize she was seeing someone else." She tilted the screen toward her friend. My stomach dropped. "Miranda who?" I asked, more sharply than I intended. "Miranda Shaw. She's at that resort up in Killington, with some guy. I figured they'd broken up." I stepped toward her. "Can I see?" She hesitated, then handed over her phone. It was a short video, one of those looping Instagram stories. There was Miranda, sun on her shoulders, drink in hand, laughing. Not just laughing, angled toward a man I didn't recognize, her fingertips grazing his chest like it was second nature. He leaned in, said something. She gave him that familiar smirk. The clip ended with her blowing a kiss to the camera, his arm wrapped around her waist. The caption read, "Vacation's better with company." I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. My breath caught, sharp and shallow. Fireworks began to light up the sky, reds and golds bursting above the lake. People gasped and cheered, heads tilted back. But I couldn't tear my eyes from the screen. There it was. No vagueness, no gray area, just confirmation. A part of her life she'd chosen to make public but never meant for me to see. I gave the phone back without a word. Ava looked like she regretted saying anything. "I thought you knew. I'm sorry." I walked away, down toward the shoreline, fireworks still cracking behind me like some cruel irony. It was our anniversary, and she was spending it in another man's arms. This wasn't some tragic mix-up. It was deliberate. Sunday morning, I found myself in the Midtown office of Carla McKay, a divorce attorney with a serious face and a leather chair that swallowed you whole. The space had no softness, just efficiency. She wasn't cold, just focused. "She's having an affair. I want this finalized quickly," I told her. She didn't blink. "Any public posts or screenshots? Especially if they show them together or include a location." I slid my phone across her desk. "Start with last night's story. It's still up." She scrolled, nodded, typed. It was strangely calming, watching the remains of our marriage reduced to facts and paperwork. Shared bank accounts, lease agreements, belongings, no sentiment. Just details. I signed wherever she told me to. Then I made a decision I still stand by. I didn't reach out to Miranda. Didn't give her the satisfaction of my reaction. Instead, I picked up the phone that afternoon and called Lacey. "Hey, it's Liam. Just need a quick favor. When Miranda checks in, tell her the divorce is in progress. Papers have been filed, that's all." A pause. Then, "Wait, what? Are you serious?" "Completely. But you two always seemed—" "We're not. I said, calm but firm. Haven't been for a while. Shouldn't you wait until she's back? Have a real talk? I've waited. Through the lies, the growing distance, the constant dismissal. This isn't sudden. It's overdue. The fallout hit fast. 15 minutes later, my phone lit up with call after call. I stood by the window, peppermint tea in hand, watching the slow parade of cars below on 12th Street. I didn't answer. Then came the texts. Liam, what's going on? Lacey said something insane. Please call me. This isn't funny. I stayed quiet. The sun dropped, and the windows across the street began to glow one by one. And for the first time in months, I felt something I didn't know I'd lost. A sense of control. Not over her, over myself. The calls continued. Some spaced out, some frantic. I knew the rhythm. It was how she reacted when things slipped beyond her grip. I let it ring. Finally, at 8:17 the next morning, I picked up. She spoke my name, cracked, raw, like something broken had finally given way. I said nothing. Are you serious right now? You're actually going through with this? You're filing for divorce? Her voice cracked, wet trails of tears streaking her cheeks. Whether those tears were authentic or just another performance, I couldn't tell. Honestly, it didn't matter anymore. I don't understand, she choked out. What did I do that was so unforgivable you couldn't even speak to me first? You'll find out in court, I replied, my tone level and unshaken. She let out a hollow laugh, sharp and brittle, like thin ice splintering under weight. You can't be serious. This is crazy, Liam. We're just going through a rough patch. That's all this is. There was a man in that story you posted, Miranda. Her face flickered, an involuntary tick she couldn't suppress. His hand was around your waist. You looked at the camera like you were single, and you tagged the resort for the world to see. It was nothing, she shot back. A dumb joke, just me messing around with the girls. That guy? He's nobody. A bartender. I didn't even talk to him. You leaned into him. You smiled like it was harmless fun. You knew exactly how it would look, and you hit post anyway. I didn't think you'd... She stopped herself mid-sentence, fumbling. I mean, that wasn't the intention. That slip was louder than any confession. She hadn't believed I'd see it. Or maybe she wanted me to, expecting jealousy, begging, some messy reaction. But not this. Not silence. Not divorce papers. Not control. I've already signed, I told her. You'll get them soon. Liam, wait! I have, I cut in. For months. While you skipped dinners, stopped coming home on time, and pulled further and further away. Her crying deepened, rough and uneven. I waited while you turned our marriage into theater. I gave you every chance to be honest with me. I don't want to lose you, she wept. You already did. I can fix this, she begged. I'll be better. I'll come home more. We can talk it through. Please don't throw away everything we built. No, I said quietly. I built it. You treated it like a rental. That broke her. The sob that escaped was unrestrained and raw. I don't know what to do, she whispered. That's not my concern anymore. I hung up. Then I drained the last of my coffee. For the first time in months, it didn't taste bitter. A few days later, I saw Ava at a cafe on 7th and Broome, sitting by the window with a pale drink steaming in front of her. When she noticed me passing by, she motioned me inside. Liam, she greeted warmly, her smile unforced and easy. Mind if I join you? I asked. Only if you're willing to share my poor pastry choice, she teased, nudging a half-eaten scone toward me. If you enjoy chewing on drywall, it's all yours. I laughed, a real laugh. It felt unfamiliar, but in the best way. We joked about Jonah's terrible playlists and his even worse hosting skills, ordinary conversation that felt like a breath of air after months underwater. Eventually, Ava leaned back, her expression softening. I didn't mean to unload that on you the other night, she said quietly. You didn't, I told her. You just lit the fuse. She nodded knowingly. She posted it publicly. Some part of her wanted it to reach you. Yeah, but she never imagined I'd stay calm. Ava stirred her tea gently. I know the feeling. That moment you realize someone's been drifting away for a long time, and somehow you're the last one to notice. That landed hard. You've lived this? I asked. 3 years ago, my ex-husband, different details, same emptiness. Before I left, she jotted her number on a napkin. Not expecting anything, she said, but if you ever need someone in court who's seen it firsthand. Thank you, I told her. You don't know how much that means. I've got time, she said softly. Take all of yours. The courthouse felt lifeless, wood-paneled walls, high ceilings, fluorescent light that drained everything of warmth. Carla sat beside me, leafing through the case files one last time. At exactly 9:01, the doors opened. Miranda entered. Her hair was thrown into a rushed bun, makeup smudged like it had been applied through tears, navy dress creased. Her finger was bare. She froze briefly when our eyes met, lips parting as if to speak, but the bailiff directed her to her table and she complied silently. The hearing moved fast, businesslike. Carla presented the timeline, records, screenshots. Then came the Instagram story, frozen on the worst frame, Miranda leaning into that stranger, glass in hand, flirtation undeniable. Miranda flinched. Her lawyer objected weakly. Lacks context. The judge frowned. The caption says, vacation company with a kiss emoji. Context is self-explanatory. No filters here, no curated angles, just paperwork, evidence, and consequences. Then, almost at the end, Miranda stood abruptly. Please, she said hoarsely. Your Honor, just a moment. You've spoken through counsel, the judge replied, wary. I know, but I need to speak to him. She turned to me, tears flowing freely now. Liam, I see it now. I shut you out. I lost myself. I thought I needed freedom, space, but none of it mattered, not if it cost me you. Her words tumbled out, frantic. I stayed seated. You were the only thing that felt real, she whispered. If even a small part of you remembers what we had, please. One last chance. I'll do anything. The courtroom went silent. I rose slowly. Ava had slipped in halfway through, just as she'd said she might. Her hand found mine. Without hesitation, I held it. We walked out together, passing Miranda without a glance. Her strangled gasp followed us, but it no longer pierced me. The doors closed behind us with a heavy thud, final and absolute. Outside, sunlight poured across the courthouse steps, bright and steady. Ava gave my hand a reassuring squeeze, then let go. You all right? She asked. I inhaled deeply. I will be. And this time I knew I was telling the truth.